back to the Sophie Martin Show on New HD Radio, which helps create jobs for autistic people, those with other disabilities, and veterans. Today we're diving into the jangly, hook-filled world of Librarians with Hickeys, one of the most charming and clever acts on the Big Store Records roster. Known for their witty lyrics, infectious melody, and unmistakable power pop spirit, this band blends bookish cool with a rock and roll heart. We'll talk about their creative journey, the stories behind their songs, and what keeps their sound so irresistibly fresh. Stay tuned. This is going to be a fun one. What's the story behind the name Librarians with Hickeys, and how did you land on it?
Well, as Mike likes to say, what is it you like to say?
I like to say that Ray has worked in a library for almost 30 years, and he's seen things that he can't unsee.
Yeah.
And so what happens in the stacks stays
in the stacks. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. As
We're going to put that on a t-shirt.
What does Mike say? Yeah. Well, they do have t-shirts now that says straight out of the library. You know, instead of straight out of Compton, it's straight out of library.
We should get one of those.
Yeah, I'll have to get you one for Christmas. Yeah, so that's kind of it's just a name, like there was also, what was another name? Mayhem Steamroller, which we thought would be like if we ever if Mike and I ever do an industrial side project, that's what we're going to call it. And then Mike also came up with Pavlov's Dogs.
Dogs, yeah, plural.
Yeah. So that if, like the joke being after we play a show, somebody'd ring a bell and we'd run to the bar, that would be funny. But every band does that. So we thought, well, that's,
I think part of the name comes from, it's unique. It's easily Googleable. And if that's a word. And once you hear the name, you either laugh or you want to hear more. And once you hear us, the whole point of it is getting you to hear us. So if the name helps you get into the band, then, that part one is complete. And then if you like it after that, then, that's a leg up sometimes on what, in this day and age, it's trying to get through the clutter of other bands and, hopefully you enjoy what you hear once you get there. That's the whole point of it.
How would you describe your musical style, and which artists influence your sound the most?
Mike, you go first on that
one. Obviously, we come from a bit of a power pop and jangle background. Bands like REM and The Church, and a lot of our earlier influences like the Monkees and the Beatles, and there's a through line from the 60s to even today. We still are influenced by people we hear. Ray, you want to talk about the 60s angle of things?
Yeah. Three of my favorite bands are the Beatles, the Monkees, and Queen. So that you may not hear all that in what we do, but it's definitely, it's catchy, it's guitar oriented pop, and anytime somebody says power pop, I instantly think of like the Knack, 2020, Raspberries, absolutely, yeah. So guitar based pop music with some rock in it. So that's where we come from. We both grew up listening to 70s AM radio,
AM gold.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So and if you think about early 70s AM radio, it was actually pretty eclectic. You'd hear School's Out by Alice Cooper, and then you'd hear Snowbird by Anne Murray. And then
I was just about to say Anne Murray.
Anne Murray, yeah.
I kid you not.
Yeah. And then you'd hear Ballroom Blitz by Sweet. And then you'd hear whatever solo Beatles thing was out. And then you'd hear
Helen Reddy.
Yeah. And then you'd hear John Denver. And then you'd hear Hamilton, Joe Franken Reynolds, and then you'd hear,
Basically, we were raised by AM radio.
Yeah.
Instead of wolves, it was AM radio.
Instead of wolves. That's a great quote. We were raised by AM radio instead of wolves. I'll have to put that on the website.
Thank you.
Can you walk us through your creative process from initial idea to finished track?
I'd say it starts with the music end of things. Usually, we have a pretty good songwriting partnership here, where one of us will come up with the music and toss it to the other person. And I joke, we call it cooperative tennis, where we want to just keep the ball in play as long as possible. And for example, like I'll write the audio, the music. I'll send it to Ray. Ray will write lyrics. He'll do some vocals. I'll do some backing vocals. We'll do some production tricks. We'll try, to see how it sits. And it sometimes can be as quick as a couple of weeks. Sometimes it takes 6 months. There's a new one on the new thing. It's been 2 years, I think. The part of it is we have such a backlog of songs from writing for 40 years that there's things that we pull out of the trunk, as the kids say, and you tweak it a little bit, or you try something new with it, and eventually you end up with something new, or something that we finally are happy with. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's like 2 weeks from initial idea to 95% finished, other than maybe the mastering. So it depends. I mean, we've had things come in at the end of a record, like Spying by the Numbers from How to Make Friends by Telephone, which was very late in the process, sort of like the last song I think we did. And it wasn't even supposed to be on the record. We had done it sort of as a thing for us for what was it, WCSB's Cassette Fest.
Yeah.
We had done it as a sort of an entry for that, and it was we were already done with the record, we thought, and we recorded that, and by the end of it we were like, this needs to go on the record. So it ended up being one of the best tracks on that record, and the video for it is also great. A lot of old industrial 60s films put together into a spy Cold War spy novel. It turned out pretty nice.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Which song from your catalog is most personal or meaningful to you, and why?
Well, there's a few. I tend not to. I try not to write stuff that's personal. I try to take the Paul McCartney approach to writing songs, which is just like making something up or writing a story. But there is a single we put out a couple of years ago of 2 songs that was off the second album called Handclaps and Tambourines. And it was the 2 songs were Can't Stop Thinking About You and Stumbling Down Memory Lane. And if you look that up on Bandcamp, the picture sleeve looks like the sleeve from the Beatles' Strawberry Fields Forever 45. It has pictures of, at the time there were 4 of us, and there's a picture of us each when we were kids. So Can't Stop Thinking About You on the surface was about a guy who's like missing his girlfriend, but it was really me writing about, it was during the pandemic. So it's like, am I going to get to hang out with my bandmates again? Am I going to get to hang out with my friends? Am I going to see any relatives? Because everybody was, shut up in their houses and stuff. And then Stumbling Down Memory Lane was just me looking back on, well, what kind of started the lyrics to that was my daughter had gone off to college. So that's kind of where that came from. And looking through old photo albums and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty personal, but I usually don't write. I usually don't write about like myself. I might write about other people in my life, or I'll just make stuff up. As
always a fallback.
Always a fallback. Yeah. And I know people, I know critics go after McCartney for not writing stuff that's personal, but I think there's something to be said for just being a good craftsman and writing a good song. It doesn't necessarily have to be personal. It doesn't necessarily have to means something to me specifically. But yeah, so those are the two that I can think of. Yeah.
What themes or messages do you aim to explore in your music?
We'll get back to you on that.
No. A lot of it, as Ray said, is it's not so much. I mean, because I write a lot of the music end of things. I mean, not all of it, but I try to write things that I know Ray will be able to do something with. You know, if not just in the style of the music, but also the what the music evokes sometimes, and stuff like No More Goodbyes, where it's a very sort of, you know, driving yet melodic end of things, where there's the chord structure, or the way the chords are very sort of, I don't want to say anthemic, but they guide where the vocals would end up going, you know. And if you want to talk about the lyrics a little bit in that one, only because I think that one was a really good thing where the music and the vocals really meshed, as far as what I was trying to come across with, and what you ended up, you know, getting across the finish line there on the audio. Because I think that may be one of my favorite track on the record, just because of that. Just because as soon as I heard what you did with it, it was like, you know, I was like, yes, that was it. You know, much like Until There Was You, or And Then She's Gone sort of thing, where when I first heard it back, it was like, yes, that's exactly the feel I was looking for.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the lyrics to No More Goodbyes is actually about a friend of mine who came out last year, maybe the year before, something like that, and got some pushback from people. And so that song was just basically saying, well, now you don't have to pretend to be something you're not. You don't have to, you can just be yourself. And so that's where the lyrics for that came. Plus, I'd written the line, if I could, I'd help you put them out of your misery, which which I just thought, that's a really cool Elvis Costello-ish line. And I'd had that sitting around for a couple of years. So I actually started the song
with
that line, and then build everything else up around it. So yeah, as I thought, wow, that's a cool lyrical trick, you know. So yeah. So that's where, and like Mike said, it's a very anthemic kind of song. In fact, we end the rare time when we do play out, we end shows with that song. So yeah.
How do you approach collaboration within the band, or with outside producers and or writers?
We're pretty self-contained.
Yeah.
We have been very DIY since day one. I handle all the production and Ray co-produces, but the actual mixing of the record, Ray and I write 100% of the music from day one. Like I said, we have a very collaborative approach to things, and it's worked really well. And to that end, I don't want to mess with the success that we've had because of that. I don't ever see bringing someone else in, other than we've had guest artists on the album, you know, playing, what was it, mandolin, and Lisa Michaels doing backing vocals on That Time Is Now. But that isn't usually how we do things. Oh, and we had Larissa.
Larissa
from the Armoires, playing viola on a couple of things, and it was just gorgeous. But that's not quite the same, you know, like when we're actually sitting down to write, it's just the two of us. And you know, we have a real I mean, you and I have known each other, what now, it's almost 40 years. And we have a shorthand in writing, and a lot of that comes down to we've known each other, we know where the other person's strengths are, and we try to help each other get to that point where the song, we're trying to, at the end of the day, it's all about the song, and does the song get on the radio? And that are always our goal is, how can we make these songs sound like a single? And to that end, that really informs how we do the production end of things, the writing end of things, and always trying to find something new within ourselves to be able to reach that goal. So, that's a big part of it. So I don't see outside production or writing or co-writes or things like that. I think we're pretty self-contained.
Yeah, I don't see like getting Taylor Swift's producer to come in and do it.
Well, now that you mention that, I'd like to revisit my answer.
Yeah. Well, what's that one song? We're never, ever, 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 ever getting back together. I always thought that was a really good song, and the video is really cute because she's got like dark glasses on, like big frame glasses on, and she's jumping around in her pajamas. And there's somebody in a bear suit in there in that video too, which I always thought was
we need to do that for our next video.
Yeah, because the Cure's done it.
A bear suit in somehow.
Yeah. The Cure's done it. Taylor Swift's done it. We should do it.
Good enough for Robert Smith.
That's right. Yeah. He kind of looks like a bear now. Actually,
he does.
He does.
Him and his hair.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's like Mike said, we're pretty self-contained. And I think our music is stylistically diverse enough. Like, that we've done a couple of garage rock kind of things. We've done some folk kind of stuff. We've done some vaguely country-ish stuff. We don't, it's what we do is it's always power pop. It's always guitar based, but we do branch off into other things.
We like to explore the space. I mean, if we did 12 jangly, very power poppy kind of songs, I think we'd get bored of it too.
Yeah.
And so within every album, there's always 2 or 3 or 4 songs that are like, and this goes back to what Ray said, like one of his favorite bands is Queen, as is mine. They always tried to do little stylistic things that were outside of it wasn't always Bohemian Rhapsody. It wasn't always Tie Your Mother Down. It was sometimes Seaside Rendezvous or 39, or the deep cuts on the record were always were my favorites live to even today. It's like not the hits. I always enjoyed not the hits.
Yeah, like Dreamer's Ball from Jazz.
Right, exactly.
Which I guess drummer Roger Taylor hated.
Well, I'm sure that was them getting him back for "I'm in Love with My Car."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and actually, there's a live clip of them on stage doing that. At the end, Roger Taylor throws his drumsticks down and walks off stage. Because he hated the song so much.
But between the two of us, there's less arguing. So
that's right. Yeah, because
when we want to try something, it's rare that the other person says no.
Says no, let's not do that. Yeah,
because I think part of it is we enjoy finding new things to do, and that's what keeps it fresh for us. It's. I mean, we love a good power pop banger as much as the next guy, but this. Even within the last record, like I said, there's always a garagey one with the Farfisa organ, which we love to do because those are always fun to play.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We haven't done trad jazz yet.
No.
What's that?
I have to learn some new chords for that.
That's right. What's that song that Captain Sensible did? He did it for his dad. It's a trad, and they hired a trad jazz band to do it.
That's funny.
You're nobody's baby now. That one, whichever one that is.
You're going to get the chat muted.
Yeah.
AI is going to figure out, oh, wait, I know that song.
That's right, yeah. And the funny thing is about that song is during the instrumental section, every instrument in the band takes a solo simultaneously. And it's just utter chaos, But, but yeah.
We haven't quite gone to trad jazz.
Yeah, we haven't quite done trad jazz yet. But now one of the things that we love about Queen is, Yeah, especially in the earlier albums, they weren't afraid to be silly once in a
Goofy,
while. They weren't afraid to be, they weren't afraid to, like A Night at the Opera, like he mentioned 39. It's just one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah.
I love Bohemian Rhapsody, but I don't need to ever hear it again.
No.
The
first 1,200 times we're playing.
It was enough. Yeah.
It was enough.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest challenge so far, and how did you overcome it?
The pandemic.
Pandemic, yeah.
We had recorded our first album, long overdue, and it was 90% done in March of 2020. And when everything stopped, we didn't know how long it was going to be, and we had a chat with our label, Big Stir Records. Hi, Rex and Christina. And I think everybody on the label to a T said, let's move forward. Let's go ahead and do this. Mm-hmm. And so we finished it up in isolation, did all the graphics works at home, did the master, sent it out for the mastering, and it came out in August of 2020. And the other problem there was we weren't able to play live. So the rest of the band at that time, when we were a 4-piece, we just sat at home, and it really, it changed how we approached not only the promotion end of things, but also the live aspect of things. We started to try to strip things down a little bit, and we started working on the next record also during the pandemic, Handclaps and Tambourines, which came out in 22. So it really did alter our trajectory as far as how we were going to go forward. And it ultimately did play a part, I won't say a large part, of now us becoming a duo, because part of it was we weren't playing live as much. And we sort of morphed into I don't want to say a studio band, sort of like, as the joke was, we're not Steely Dan, but I see why they did what they did at the time when it just became Walter and Donald, because a lot of the outside aspects of what we were as a band before that were taken away, and we just couldn't. The momentum there was to try to keep things going as much as possible, and then we couldn't do the things that traditionally bands did, which was, the playing the live and touring and doing all those things. And all of a sudden that the rug was yanked from underneath us. And so, and so we sort of retreated back into the core of Ray and I. And that's how the third record ended up coming about, was after we made that decision, it sort of, we figured that was the easiest way to get from point A to point Z at this point, was tighten everything up and try to keep our wits about us as best we can. So I would definitely say the pandemic was the key. Didn't quite turn out the way we thought it was going to turn out.
Right. Yeah.
But we persevered, and that's part of why the third album is also probably my favorite, only because
yeah, mine too, actually. Yeah.
I just think the way we condensed everything down to what it became ultimately helped the record, the focus and all that. We were able to really focus on the audio end of things, the production and the songwriting. So ultimately it helped us, but at the time it didn't feel like it.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite live show memory or a moment on stage that sticks out?
The Grog Shop show the last week.
Oh yeah,
we don't play out very often. That's part of it. But part of we've had some really good shows, like at the Rialto for the album release.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's just the two of us on stage, and we get to tell stories, and you really get we can tell you the backstories on songs, because it really strips the songs down to their core. And so even without all the production tricks and all the it's more, you get to hear the unvarnished song, but the core of the song is what comes through. And so that really helps us pick out what we're going to play live, because certain songs lend themselves to a live environment, and certain songs I don't think we'd ever be able to reproduce without an 8-piece band, or people handling backing vocals and keyboards. And Ray, how many members does it have to be?
Oh yeah.
More than 5?
I always say that if there's like more than 5 people on stage, it's not a band anymore, it's a cult. It's like if you look at clips of Parliament Funkadelic, or what was that band from the 90s, they all dressed in robes.
Flaming Lips,
the Polyphonic Spree. And I forgot about the Flaming Lips. They would
another
Lips
band.
The Flaming Lips are cool though, because they had girls dressed as like bunnies come out and jump around and stuff, and
balloons.
And I think
we've never quite got to that level of touring, being able to afford that sort of thing. That's another thing too, is it's very difficult in this day and age to go out and tour with a full band.
Right.
You really need to either have, as the old joke goes in the winemaking business, how do you make a lot of money in the wine business? How do you make a small fortune in the wine business? And the answer is start with a large fortune, because by the end of it, you're going to lose some money. And so being a musician in 2025 means sort of the same thing. You have to start with a certain amount of money and be able to sustain going out on the road to be able to sell enough merchandise. So when you get off the road, you still have, at least, if not more money, at least the same amount of money. Yeah. It's not the huge making machine that it used to be. So part of that is we don't play a lot of live shows, going back to the initial question. But last week we played, 2 weeks ago, we played a venue in Cleveland called the Grog Shop. And it was sort of a last minute thing. There weren't a lot of people, but we had a lot of fun, and we got to tell some stories. We had the Spinal Tap technical problems with Ray's guitar. But the people who were there enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. It reminded me of why I love playing on stage. Yeah. And it was just nice. We only played 2 shows this year. We played that one and
played one at a library. The
library show. Yeah, exactly. We love playing those too, because it's sort of on the nose thematically for us. We do those at least once a year. We'll play a library show, and it's always a lot of fun. But I'd have to say it's always the most recent one, because recency bias, and it reminds me of why I like playing live. I don't want to get to the point where it's like it's such a slog that I'm tired of it and never want to do it again, and drive us back into the studio and write another record instead. So
and the Grog Shop is up in Cleveland Heights, which is a really cool artsy area of Cleveland, and the Grog Shop's just a cool place. We've both seen a lot of really cool bands at the Grog Shop over the years, and so to be able to play that is kind of like
it's like that in the Beachland in Cleveland.
Those are both really cool, well-known places in Cleveland for bands to play. So it's kind of it's corny to say, well, it's an honor, but it's an honor to play those.
Any show we get to play in this day is an honor.
That's right.
I'm just happy to be here. I'm always happy. Just, you get out there, and sometimes you don't know who's listening to your records, and people will come up to you, like at the library show, and say, I heard you on the radio, or I really like that song. And so it's nice to actually hear those things rather than being in a little bubble. And getting outside of that is always a good antidote to not knowing.
Well, and the thing about this is sort of off topic, but the great thing about Big Stir, hi Rex and Christine. The great thing about Big Stir is that they don't operate within the mainstream music industry. We're actually in a completely different level, but that's really cool, because I don't, if I doubt Capitol is going to call one of us up and say, hey, make a record for us. But and it would be an instant.
Hi, Capitol.
It would be an instant.
We're available.
available.
No.
It'd be an instant. No, it'd be an instant cutout. Yeah.
No, I would never do that.
Yeah, it would be no. Big Stir is a very. It's
We
corny
love
to
them.
say. Yeah, it's corny to say. Well, they're like family, but they are like family. Actually,
They have stuck with us through the pandemic, and they have always been nothing but encouraging as far as exploring. Like when we do videos and stuff like that, they're just they're happy, because we show up on time and deliver, and I hope we sell some records for them, and especially the Halloween album. We're the first track on the compilation, and that's a big responsibility. And we were really honored that they chose that song as the lead-off track. So that was one of only 2 songs we recorded this year too. It was sort of like, this was supposed to be sort of an off year where we were just writing stuff, and then we ended up getting the Flash Cubes compilation.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
we were offered that, and so we recorded the song for that. And then the Halloween album, which is right in our wheelhouse. I mean, we love a good spooky tune, and I had some music that we had kicked around, and then Ray wrote the great lyrics for it, and for us, it was really trying to evoke that 70s Cliff Richard and who was the other
AM radio pop sound.
Back then. It really meant to be that sort of. There was a whole vibe in the 70s of that sort of ennui or whatever it was that was floating through the water there, and I thought we really nailed the vibe on that as far as what they were. I hope we did. And for them to have us do that, A, ask us, B, have it be the first track is amazing for us. And I hope that is a thing that helps propel the album to, it includes, I know you did the interview with Strawberry Alarm Clock the other day, and their track is awesome, and
it is.
It's amazing to be on an album with those guys, and Graham Parker, and all the other bands on the label. It's just like, I would not have guessed in 2025 we'd be on an album with those guys. It's such an honor. It was not on my bingo card.
That wasn't on our bingo card. Yeah, there's just so many great artists on the label. There's the Armoires, there's the Corner Laughers, there's Dolph Chaney, who we played a show with.
We played a show with in Chicago.
Which was so cool to finally get to meet him. And what's the other band that John Borak is in? He's drums for the Armoires, but he's in another one. Pop Dudes? Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, Strawberry Alarm Clock. The Circle is on there.
The Circle, on our label. Red Rubber Ball.
Yeah. So
2020.
2020. Yeah.
Through
and I really liked our cover tune that we did for the 2020 thing.
Yeah, that was. It's funny. We don't do any recording of covers on our albums, but we have a couple of things that are sitting in the can right now, waiting for the day where we get to use them. And I think it's our choice of covers too that are pretty eclectic. So it's always fun to do them, but it's you have to sort of find the right time to release them. It's
the right moment,
the right moment, and for the right reason. And we did the Banana Splits cover.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that's another one. It was sort of a beast of something where it was fun. That I think that's like one of the rarest things, because it's really hard to find that. But
I think
I want to say it's still on Bandcamp somewhere, maybe. But that one did a lot of business in Japan, I guess.
Yeah.
Apparently they like the Banana Splits.
They do like a band that dresses up as animals.
There you go. Maybe we need to do that. Maybe. Like a bear.
Like a bear. Yeah. There you go.
Back to that.
I've got a bonus question for you. Given that you're a librarian, what is your favorite book to read?
Wow,
film would have been a better question for you.
Yeah, film would have been better. I was thinking about that the other, because I'm not really like a fiction reader. I read more like nonfiction and stuff like that. But I don't know, like right now I'm reading a biography of Flannery O'Connor, which is really good. But oh God, I don't know. Maybe On the Road by Jack Kerouac. What about you, Mike?
Good question. I have a library behind me. Well, you can
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
Right there. I have, I don't know, a couple thousand books, but I don't know. I don't know if I have they're mostly cookbooks, to be honest. That's my wife and I. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what I read recently. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite book because, like Ray says, I don't read a ton of fiction. I mean, I've read a lot of historical fiction. I mean, I'm into like sort of there's these books from the like 14th, 15th century, or books about sort of old folklore books. I read a lot of those. Like like if there was this one book, it was like if you were dropped into England in the 15th century, how would things be so different that how could you survive in that sort of thing? And sort of that was sort of a fun read where your preconceptions about how things would be totally wrong, and you'd probably be dead within a day because they think you were a witch, things like that. So so those are fun books for me to read, kind of things. And like Ray says, it's like fiction, not so much, but I'm reading a book now about how cities can become more musically friendly, sort of like Austin is the live music capital of the world, and Memphis, and all these music cities, and Akron is its own sort of music city. And I went to a thing last night. As a matter of fact, I went to down at the library. There was a seminar Brad from the Summit hosted that
Where was this
talking
at?
about. It was at the main library in the auditorium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was.
I worked last night, so I couldn't have gone.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was Brad and Dave Giffels and Bob.
Oh, wow.
And,
wow. Okay.
And Danny Bassone and Dave Swanson and
wow.
Debbie from Chai Pig. But they were talking about how at the Akron Sound in the late 70s, early 80s was sort of a time, and how things have changed since then. But Akron is still sort of considered that the legacy of that still informs a lot of how Akron is seen nationally as a music thing. Now we have the Black Keys, so that's added to that, and the Pretenders, and things like that. So I sort of like going to those things and sort of seeing. I'm reading a book about how cities can sort of use music as not only an economic development sort of their town, but also in giving jobs, because it's not just the musicians, it's the people who own the bars, the people who run security, it's a whole ancillary economic theory. So that's what I'm reading right now. It's called I can look it up. But those are the kind of things I really read these days. It's called "This Must Be the Place."
Okay.
So it's sort of an interest. Like I said, I'm about halfway through it, but that's sort of like the most recent thing I've read. But other than that, it's probably a cookbook. It's my favorite book. Like the
Julia
French
Child.
Chef. Exactly, Julia Child. I have a signed first edition Julia Child.
Do you really?
I do.
Oh, wow.
I just found out that's actually worth some money. I didn't realize that. I didn't get her to sign it. It was bought secondhand, but I've learned how to cook a lot from playing with Julia's recipes.
Well, and you guys used to do catering too.
We did. In between musical career, I was a writer for many years for the local alternative weekly called Scene Magazine here in Cleveland. And then I did catering for about 10 years. And then I find I can only do sort of like one one thing at a time. And so at the end of the catering gig, it was like, well, I'm going to go back and do music again. And so that's sort of how Librarians ended up coming back, was because did we ever tell when we first played a show was in March of 1989.
Oh, yeah.
At Bauhaus.
At the Bauhaus, yeah.
Bauhaus, which was a sort of seminal club there in Akron at the time. And we played our first show back, and what was it, 2017? And we said, this is our first show in 27 years. We were busy.
Yeah.
So that was the sort of the whole impetus was once I stopped the catering gig and started doing music again. That's how we ended up coming back together after 27 years. Yeah. So it was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't miss the catering right now. My knees don't miss it.
Yeah.
A lot of work. And so is music.
That wraps up today's conversation on the Sophie Martin Show with Librarians with Hickeys on New HD Radio. A huge thank you to the band for sharing their time, their stories, and their sharp sense of humor with us. If you haven't already, be sure to check out their music on Big Stir Records and follow them all for their latest releases and tour updates. I'm Sophie Martin. Thanks for listening, and as always, keep celebrating the artists who make the soundtrack of our lives. Please follow us on all social media platforms at New HD Radio and check us out at newhdmedia.com.